It's 3 a.m. You're lying in the dark, completely still. Your body is exhausted. Your eyes are closed. Everything is quiet. And then it happens. A memory surfaces. Not a good one. Something from 8 years ago. Something you said at a party that landed wrong. A joke that nobody laughed at. An argument you lost badly. A moment where you smiled at someone and they didn't smile back. You weren't thinking about it. You weren't anywhere near it. And yet, here it is, playing in full detail, like your brain decided the middle of the night was the perfect time for a private screening of your worst moments. Why does this happen? The answer isn't random. It isn't a glitch. And once you understand what's actually going on inside your head at 3 a.m., you'll never think about embarrassment the same way again. Let's start with what embarrassment actually is. Most people assume it's just an emotion, an uncomfortable feeling that shows up when you do something stupid and fades when people forget. But neuroscientists see it differently. Embarrassment is a social survival signal. In 2011, researcher Daisher Keltner at UC Berkeley ran a series of studies measuring how people respond to others who show embarrassment. What he found surprised almost everyone. People who expressed embarrassment after a social mistake were rated as more trustworthy, more likable, and more cooperative than people who showed no embarrassment at all. Think about that. The feeling you spend years trying to suppress is actually broadcasting something important to every person around you. It's saying, I understand the rules. I care what you think. I'm safe to be around. Embarrassment isn't weakness. It's a signal your brain evolved to send. And like every signal, your brain takes it seriously. Now here's where it gets interesting. Your brain has a region called the default mode network. It activates when you're not focused on anything specific, when you're daydreaming, when you're drifting, when you're lying in the dark at 3 a.m. trying to sleep. Scientists used to think this region was essentially idle, background noise, the brain doing nothing. They were wrong. In 2001, Marcus Rachel at Washington University discovered that the default mode network wasn't resting at all. It was running a specific, deliberate process. It was reviewing your social experiences, scanning your interactions, flagging moments where something went wrong or could have gone better. Your brain uses silence to do maintenance, and embarrassing memories aren't surfacing randomly. They're being retrieved on purpose. Your brain is pulling them up because it hasn't finished processing them, because something about that moment still feels unresolved, because the social threat those memories represent hasn't been fully neutralized. But why at night? Why at 3 a.m. specifically? Here's what most people don't know about sleep. During the day, your brain is flooded with cortisol and norepinephrine. These chemicals suppress emotional memory processing. They keep you functional, forward-moving, focused on what's in front of you. They are, in a very real sense, a buffer between you and your unprocessed feelings. At night, those chemicals drop, the buffer disappears, and the memories your brain flagged as emotionally unfinished during the day suddenly have a clear path to the surface. Neuroscientist Matthew Walker, author of Why We Sleep, describes this as the brain's emotional processing window. The overnight hours aren't just rest, they're active therapy. Your brain is trying to strip the emotional charge from difficult memories and file them away as neutral information. The problem is that sometimes the process wakes you up mid-session. You're catching your brain at work. Now let's talk about why those specific memories. Why not something from last week? Why does your brain reach back 3 years, 7 years, 15 years? Because your brain doesn't store memories the way a hard drive stores files. It stores them by emotional intensity. In 1977, psychologist Gordon Bower at Stanford demonstrated that emotional arousal dramatically increases memory consolidation. The stronger the emotion attached to an experience, the deeper it gets encoded, the more reliably it gets retrieved. Embarrassment, specifically, is one of the most encoding-efficient emotions humans experience because it combines multiple threat signals simultaneously. There's the fear of social rejection, the awareness of being watched, the violation of your own internal standards. The brain registers all of this at once and marks the memory as high priority. High priority memories get reviewed more often. That moment from 8 years ago that you still can't shake, your brain has flagged it as unresolved, and every time it gets a quiet window, it pulls it back up and asks the same question it's been asking for years. Have we dealt with this yet? And here's the part that explains almost everything. Your brain cannot tell the difference between a social threat that happened in the past and one that is happening right now. When that memory surfaces, your amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, activates. Your heart rate slightly increases. Your body tenses. The stress response triggers at a low level, not enough to fully wake you, just enough to make sleep impossible. You are, in a very real biological sense, reliving the threat, not remembering it, reliving it. This is why distraction doesn't work. You can't scroll your way out of it at 3 a.m. because the memory isn't coming from your conscious mind. It's coming from a system that predates language, predates reason, predates every coping strategy you've ever learned. A system that has one job: keep you socially safe. It just hasn't figured out yet that the party was 8 years ago. So what do you do with this? The research points towards something counterintuitive. You have to give the memory what it's asking for. In 2012, psychologist James Pennebaker at the University of Texas published decades of research on expressive writing. People who spent just 15 minutes writing about their most distressing memories, including the emotions, the context, the meaning they made of it, showed measurable reductions in intrusive memory retrieval, better sleep, lower cortisol, fewer 3 a.m. ambushes. What Pennebaker found was that the brain's review process isn't looking for resolution in the sense of fixing what happened. It's looking for narrative closure. It wants the memory filed under understood rather than unresolved. When you write it down, name it, give it a context and a meaning, you are essentially telling your brain, I've reviewed this. I understand it. You can stop. The brain listens. Here's the bigger picture. Every embarrassing memory your brain has ever stored is evidence of something. Evidence that you care about other people, that you have standards for yourself, that social belonging matters to you enough to hurt when you get it wrong. The people who never replay embarrassing memories at 3 a.m. aren't emotionally healthier than you. They're less socially tuned, less attuned to others, less capable of the self-awareness that makes genuine connection possible. Your 3 a.m. brain isn't torturing you. It's doing exactly what 300,000 years of social evolution built it to do, protecting you, reviewing the record, trying to make sure you stay connected to the people around you. It's just doing it at an inconvenient hour, and in the dark, in the quiet, when the cortisol fades and the buffer drops and the memories come flooding back. That's not your brain failing you. That's your brain caring about you. In the only language it knows,